So our second to last resistance training program design variable is exercise volume. Now volume can be quantified in a number of ways. The two most common are to calculate what is known as volume load and volume per set. So with volume load, all we have to know is the load or the weight being lifted and multiply that by the number of sets and reps performed. And this is typically measured as the quantity of work performed. With volume per set, let's say you have an individual athlete performing different sets for various exercises with different weights, then you may calculate volume per set, which takes more time to quantify, but again, taking the individual weight for each set and then multiplying that by the number of reps for that given exercise. So if we look here at this table, a comparison of volume load calculations. So for the same exercise here, back squat, let's say performing 3 sets of 10 reps. This load here was 146 kilograms. So 3 sets of 10 reps, that's 30 total reps. So we take the 146 kilos times 30, and that gives us our overall volume load of 4,380 kilograms. Now, if we're going to do something like 1 set of the back squat for a high number of reps, let's say in this example, 30 reps, that's going to be a lower load, corresponding in this example to 45 kilograms. Take the 45 kilos times the total number of reps, again that's 30, and that gives us a lower volume load compared to the first example of only 1,350 kilograms. Another way we can manipulate volume is by performing multiple versus single sets. Now, if you're beginning with an athlete who has a early or low training status, so an untrained individual, then single set training may be more appropriate. Or an individual who's coming off a long rest period, this may be appropriate using single set training during the first several weeks of getting back to training. We're talking about intermediate or advanced resistance trained athletes. And it's been shown consistently within the literature that higher volumes of training are necessary to promote further gains in athletic performance, such as muscular strength. Volume is also dependent on the training status of the individual. So an athlete may perform only 1 to 2 sets as a beginner. Then as they adapt and become more trained, or their training status improves, then he or she may add sets in order to increase volume. So if we look at this table here showing the volume assignments based upon the training goal, we see for strength and power first. Listed here is the training goal. For the volume assignments, for power compared to strength, and the volume assignments for power training are less than those for strength training. This is important in order to maximize the quality of the exercise being performed. So for strength, if that is the training goal, then the recommendations here in terms of the goal repetitions are 6 or fewer reps performed for 2 to 6 sets. For the power movements, and again depending on if it's a single effort, a multiple effort event, then the goal repetitions are going to range anywhere from 1 to 5, with performing 3 to 5 sets for that given exercise. For hypertrophy training, if that is the goal repetitions here, a little bit larger range from 6 to 12 reps, 3 to 6 sets for that given exercise, and then muscular endurance, performing a greater number of reps, so 12 or more, for 2 to 3 sets is recommended. So it's important here when we're talking about the number of sets that these assignments or values that you see here do not include warm-up sets and typically apply to the core exercises only. So again, the squat, deadlift, and various presses and rows. With muscle hypertrophy, if that is the training goal, We see that muscle hypertrophy is associated with higher training volumes and performing 3 or more exercises per muscle group. So again, going back to exercise selection is going to be important here as well. And for muscular endurance programs, this involves many repetitions, typically 12 or more reps per set, performing those sets with lighter loads and maybe fewer sets compared to hypertrophy or strength training if that is the primary goal. And finally, we cannot forget about the importance of rest periods here as a resistance training program design variable. Now, the resistance period length is going to be dependent on a number of factors, with one of those factors being the goal of training. In this table, we see rest period length assignments based upon the training goal. So if the goal of strength is to increase muscular strength, that typically is a longer rest period length compared to muscular hypertrophy, and particularly compared to muscular endurance. So for strength, the typical rest period length is about 2 to 5 minutes, and that's going to depend upon the load that's being lifted, the training status of the athlete, as well as other factors. For power, again, very similar rest period length compared to strength of about 2 to 5 minutes. Hypertrophy, shorter rest periods, maybe 30 to 90 seconds, are the typically recommended rest period length for hypertrophy training. And for muscular endurance, again, performing lighter loads for more reps, but with shorter rest periods in order to promote improvements in muscular endurance. So we also have to consider the relative load being lifted. So when we compare strength training versus muscular endurance training, we're lifting a heavier relative load when performing strength training exercises versus muscular endurance type exercises. Therefore, that's going to require a longer rest period length with strength training. We also have to consider the athlete's training status. Athletes who are new to resistance training may require a longer rest period between sets and exercises compared to more advanced resistance training athletes.